There we go. Sweet. Can you guys see me? Oh, hell's bells. This is crooked. Hold on. All right. I think we're not screwed up anymore. Um, Sorry, folks. Messing with several things here. No live chat yet. All right. Well, that's different. Anyway, I got a hot mess in my kitchen today, so sorry about that. So, folks, I'm assuming I'm actually live somewhere. Trying to figure out where the hell I am actually online. That's neat. Hey, all right, KP. So you guys can see me on YouTube. Sweet. Awesome. All right, this is not my normal night for situation report, but there were a few things that came up that I thought were really interesting. So thank you, Teresa, for the 5x5. Thank you, KP. Yeah, and I think I'm seeing everyone in the chat. In theory, I'm seeing everyone in the chat. So bear with me just to say I haven't done this through Rumble in a hot minute. And sometimes, oh, there we go. Da-da-da. Interesting. So, I'm hearing myself now. I don't need to do that. That'll make me deranged. Okay, there we go. Sweet. And hold on a second here, folks. All messaging. Hey, oops. Teresa, Rob, Dan. Okay, now I see everybody. Awesome. I actually have my phone and my iPad because I needed a different angle for this one. So I hope everyone's doing well today. So I was going to do this. Normally I do this on Mondays, but this week I was actually covering a very specific story. So I figured I would do this today in lieu of my usual technical video. I do have some cool videos I'm working on, but they take time. And when you're working, it takes time. Hey, Canadian. Hey, Irish. What's going on? Oops. So I'm going to do the Sitrep, and I'm going to do it the way I've done it before, basically by region of the world, and then within each region by country, and it'll be in alphabetical order. So that way it'll, wow, the guys weren't kidding. Like the chat in Rumble is terrible. It just jumps. It's just really deranged looking. Okay, so I want to start in Africa because Sudan has a serious problem right now. So Cameroon, Islamic militants, this is from Associated Press, Islamic militants killed 12 soldiers in an attack near Lake Chad. At least 12 Cameroonian soldiers were killed Monday night in an attack by Islamist militants on the border with Nigeria, which is also now having a civil war of their own type over there. And then Sudan, South Sudan arrests vice president as new civil war fears mount. And this is from Africa News. And the details are South Sudan's main opposition party said its leader, Riek Machar, has been arrested as the UN called on all parties to uphold a 2018 agreement that ended the country's civil war. Now, keep in mind, Sudan and South Sudan, and I think it was Sudan itself, was the country that was going to give Russia access to its ports in the Mediterranean. And all of a sudden, the general of their National Guard suddenly gets a bunch of new weapons and starts fighting with the government. A lot of people speculate that we, or maybe the French, hey, Little Lone, hey, Billy, Daryl, Carolina, hello. A lot of people speculate that either us or one of the European nations were like, we don't want the Russians right there. So if you don't play nice with us, we're going to fund your opposition so they can overthrow you. So now both countries are in the midst of a civil war. That's not good. That's going to send a lot of population to Europe or to other African countries, some of which are already struggling. So, hey, Hudson, welcome. Thank you. Winning streak. Thank you for joining me. And Teresa, as always. Hey, Jason. East Asia and the Pacific. So this one's from Associated Press as well. South Korea, an appeals court in South Korea overturned an election law conviction against opposition leader Lee, oh crap, Lee Jack-myung Wednesday, potentially clearing the way for him to mount a presidential campaign. They've been after the incumbent president, and the incumbent president is very pro-US. He keeps claiming that the leftists are trying to kick him out so that they can reunite under the communist banner. The opposition leader says that's stupid. Why would we want to be part of Kim Ung-jun's or whatever his name is up north? But in any case, yeah, they're right now. They've indicted their sitting president. They just overruled a election law on the opposition, so it's a lot of complications. It almost feels like republics and democracies are under attack across the world, like for various reasons. It's really creepy. When you start looking at all these countries getting attacked all at once, it really blows your mind. In Europe, so moving on, so both of those were AP News, Associated Press. In Europe, Armenia, a sign of a move away from Moscow, Armenian parliament votes to start an EU bid. Now, Armenia, what was it? And the Armenians and not the Uzbeks. The Armenians have been fighting another group locally. So Armenia's parliament took a step in the country's westward march, approving a bill calling for the government to seek EU membership. Now, that's another one of the formerly Soviet bloc nations. I'm wondering if they're suddenly going to have a civil war 6 months from now. Or they're going to get into it with the Serbs again. Because the Serbs, the Armenians, the Croatians had all been, remember back in the 80s, we had to send American troops there because they were like Bosnia and all of these places were having this big disaster. So I suspect there's a distinct possibility someone's going to try and disrupt this country. Then in Romania, and that was from RFE News. I don't know who the hell that is. Romania, also in Europe, thousands protest canceled Romanian election ahead of repeat vote. Here's another example of an election being challenged or trying to be overthrown. Thousands of Romanians gathered in the capital Bucharest on Wednesday to protest the December cancellation of the presidential election and the banning of the right-wing forerunner from standing for office again. So again, now you have in Korea and then you have in Romania, two nations where the leftists, because they're not saying they're like Democratic, Republican, because they have different parties there, but the far left, what they're referring to as socialist or communist, are trying to prevent the other side from even running. Yeah, I can't spell that mess either, man. I absolutely can't, Jason, which I find bad. Now, in Turkey, you kind of have a dictatorship, even though it's a friendly dictatorship, so it's kind of a problem for the U.S. This is from the Associated Press as well. Police use force to break up protests at the university in Turkey's capital. Police use pepper spray, pellets, and a water cannon against protesters in the capital early Thursday, potentially reigniting tensions after 2 days of relative calm in the country's biggest anti-government protests in over a decade. There have been thousands of people. Now here it's the other way around. The people want to establish a parliamentary system like a republic, and Erdogan is still in power, and he's been friendly to the U.S. goals, so the U.S. doesn't want to go and poke him. Hey, Ohio Valley. So they're kind of keeping an arm's distance. And Turkey is very important because you think about where it is. It's kind of the crossroads between the East and the West and the Middle East. And so how that turns out could be super important to us. Also, they're the country that's kind of limiting a lot of these migrants from the war-torn countries going into Europe. But then again, there's accusations he's allowing it to happen because he wants to screw with, I don't know, Bulgaria or something. He's pissed at someone over in Europe. But in any case, this is important and interesting stuff to be aware of. Looking, and Turkey is NATO. Correct. Turkey is indeed NATO. So again, and we have Incirlik, I'm not pronouncing it right, air base in Turkey. So these are very important strategic. You're going to sit on my foot. Stormy just came and plopped down on my foot. And now she's looking at me like, it's not dinner time, girlfriend. It's like another hour. And I know you got snacks. I know for a fact because I gave you the snacks. She's looking at me. She's kind of staring at me like, Dad, get out of it. You're in the kitchen and you're not dropping anything we can eat. Corgis, right? Okay, so Middle East, North Africa, moving on. Israel and the Palestinian territories. So this is from Gulf News. Israeli army tells Gazans to evacuate part of Raw. Israeli Sunday address the city. Evacuated is launched and against in the night before the mosque units left. We engaged a missile attack Israel in the middle of talk, and then they start launching rockets. So the Israelis went there with attack helicopters and basically flattened the building and a parking lot to prevent them from doing this. So yeah, the Israelis are like kind of a rock and a hard place because you have all these people there, but these a-holes keep taking power. So excuse me. So if it hits the floor, it's legally belongs to the dog. That's the law. Yeah, let alone that. Absolutely. The problem is with four of them, it becomes who gets there first, and audio is going wild. And it's back. Okay, could be the Bluetooth is freaking out on me. So thanks for letting me know. Let me know if that happens again and does weird stuff. Syria. Okay, Syria's sectarian violence reached capital, terrorizing Alawites. Close to midnight on March 6, as a wave of sectarian killings began in Syria, mass men stormed the homes of Alawite families in the capital and detained more than 24 unarmed men. They have been killing Christians or running them out of their homes and running them out of the country in droves in Syria. Nobody really is talking about it, but they're getting kicked out of their own country. They're basically being run off. So now they're going after a different sect. And I don't remember if the Alawites are Muslim or it's a different religion. I don't think they're Christians, or they're certainly not Jews because they would have gotten killed immediately. So I don't know if they're Christian or if they're something else. But again, you have a lot of this instability if you hadn't noticed. Hey, Wolfang, welcome. So South and Central Asia and Bangladesh detects first case of bird flu since 2018. Bird flu has been detected at a poultry farm in Jashore, the first case in Bangladesh since 2018. This is from the Daily Star News. I've never heard of the Daily Star News, but in any case, that's bird flu. You're going to have these recurring animal diseases. So I'm not going to read too much into that because they get bird flu every so often. Just kind of take it back. There and people, yes, absolutely. There are active out of there. Actually, it's absolutely failed. And it's the press gone is in Russia or some Russia. They have. It's interesting. Oxford educated jihadi now in charge of the audio's gone again. Sound's acting up. Hold on just a second here, guys. All right, can you still hear me? And I'm back. Okay, so I may be losing power in the headset. I may have to get quick here. Okay, we're going to finish up with the West, the Western Hemisphere. So Argentina's deadly rains more likely due to a warming world. So this is a claim that this is climate change. Heavy rains led to catastrophic flooding in central Argentina and killed 16 people earlier this month, partly fueled due to climate change. The climate changes with or without humans. I mean, obviously we shouldn't pollute, but this is according to Reuters News. They did have some bad flooding though, which we had like a year ago. Brazil's Supreme Court to put Bolsonaro on trial for alleged coup attempt. Now, I wasn't aware of this until I saw this article. This is in Reuters News. Former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro will stand trial for allegedly conspiring to overthrow the government after he lost the 2022 election. He is a known leftist. He's very much a socialist. The Supreme Court ruled on Wednesday, moving swiftly in a case that could reshape their political landscape. They have been dealing with this very left-wing philosophy a lot. And all right, good deal. Thank you, guys. I think it's the Bluetooth, and I could be losing power in the headset or something's interfering with it. So in any case, that one's important. That's a big oil producer. It is a member of OPEC, Brazil. If I recall correctly, it is also a big beef, coffee, and agricultural producer. So if they fall into some kind of disarray, that's going to cause issues in our supply chain. So that one you want to watch. There are a lot of products we get from Brazil. Colombia rights group says Colombian rebels, and that last one was from Reuters News. Sorry, guys. Colombia rights group says Colombia rebels committed abuses against civilians in disputed region. This is Associated Press again. A prominent human rights group said Wednesday that rebel groups in Colombia committed grave abuses against civilians as they fight to control of the Catatumbo, a resource-rich region along Colombia's border with Venezuela. That is also a very rich oil field and energy area, and their minerals, and of course there's drugs, right? They in the jungle they plant cocaine and whatnot. So I find it interesting. You're seeing a lot of these little conflicts over resources. Now, that's always been the case. Typically, a resource is the motivator behind most wars. I mean, even like the Carthage fighting Rome back in the ancient days, the Assyrians invading Greece, these conflicts usually come because of farmland or food or resources of some type. But this, because our economies are now globally tied, you get Brazil having an issue, and then Venezuela and Colombia, and Venezuela is an OPEC member, they start having issues, and the next thing you know, you start seeing disruptions in the market, in the supply chain. So a lot of folks don't think of it in those terms. They're like, oh, well, that's in Brazil or that's in Argentina. But if these things happen, and it disrupts energy or disrupts trade in some way, that absolutely can have a ripple effect. Maybe not right away, but maybe 3-4 weeks later, we'll start seeing it here. So this something to keep in mind. Getting some roaming prepper live. Baby monitor down the street. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, and then Cuba. So Cuban domestic freight traffic plummets in sign of deepening crisis. Cuban freight traffic plunged 19% in 2024, the government statistics agency said. The latest sign that a grueling economic crisis, which began 5 years ago, is getting worse. I think we're going to see more migrants come out of Cuba. I had another Uber driver, Cuban guy. He said he had moved here with his family, and he said, and this guy was interesting. He said, I asked him where he was from because I could hear the accent, and he said, "I'm from Cuba. I'm from the middle of up in the mountains, but I was a truck driver there. I was a professional driver there. I'm trying to get my CDL here because I can drive better than the stupid Cubans," is what he told me, which I thought was hilarious. And that's typical Puerto Rican Cuban sense of humor. There's like me and the stupid people from my country, and I guess idiots are idiots, right? But he was making jokes, and he told me it's really bad in Cuba. They're not even food lines. He said it's so bad there were not even food lines because there's really no food to line up for, which which to me tells me a lot about their situation. There's rumors that the Castro family and their allies are starting to lose power because they're literally getting old and dying, and the country's in shambles. And everyone's like, well, what the hell? They're losing talent, is what they're doing. Anybody with any kind of skill set is trying to get the hell out. And they'll get killed. They'll be thrown in jail. But yeah, he said it was really bad. He was able to get his family here. And so he said, I'm trying to be absolutely well behaved. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. And if my kids don't behave, I smack their butts. And, I'm hearing this in Spanish, which in Spanish, it sounds really funny to hear this, the way he put it. And, I'm listening to him and I'm like, dude, you want to come here and work and raise your kids. And that's awesome. And he even said, yeah, when I came here, I had my papers. And I said, look, I request asylum. Here's my papers. And he said, the agent looked surprised that I actually was organized. And I'm like, that's the way you're supposed to do it, man. So good for you. Good for you. Yeah, Jason, absolutely. Starving humans, angry humans, hateful humans, people in general. Um, but yeah, a lot of instability. And what concerns me, it's involving a lot of countries right now that have oil, gas, and those rare earth elements all seem to be having problems at the same time. Syria, Sudan, Brazil, Venezuela. And Cuba actually has offshore fields that are not really in the open market because they have so many sanctions on them. But these kind of things can really quickly change the price of fuels, especially if something happens in the US, out in the Texas oil fields, or in Oklahoma, or if something happens in Saudi, like Iran attacks them. And then, of course, Iran's a whole big pain in the ass by themselves. So this is the kind of stuff you want to keep an eye on, because a sudden change in that limits supply, and all of a sudden prices go out the window. So again, look for those sales, look for those deals, and try to buy what you can. Uh, Hey, Conserve and Wolfang again. I think I said hi to Wolfang, but hello again if I missed you earlier. But folks, pay attention to these little things. Yes, they're far away, but because the world is so interconnected, it will somehow get into our supply or cost chain, and it may hurt us. Maybe not today or when it happens, but a month later. You know what I'm saying? So, other than that, I'm trying to see if there's anything else really interesting to share with you guys. The Well, that's no surprise. So there's actually a province in Mexico called Tabasco, and they're saying Tabasco has experienced a significant increase in violent crime. Homicides have increased 202% in the last year. The violence is driven between the Jalisco New Generation Cartel and the Barredora Cartel, fighting with the Sinaloas. So you got three big cartels fighting with each other in this one area. And I would highly recommend, if you're going to Mexico, go to the mainstream areas. Do not, 15, 20 years ago, you could go over the border with like your passport or even a driver's license, have a nice lunch, shop for the day, and come home. Right now, I would not recommend it in a lot of these places. Hey, Vision. And yeah, actually, Vision goes on this evening. Hey, Rebecca Lynn. And Hudson went on last night. Vision goes on tonight. What's for dinner? I haven't started dinner yet, Conserve. Actually, my dinner, I have a small cut. It's just me tonight because Mom is at training. So I got a small cut filet steak. I've got some fettuccine. I've got Alfredo sauce. I've got a passed out dog on the floor who's going to trip me while I'm cooking. And I got some green beans somewhere in the fridge. So I'm going to basically make all that. But did we start with the cartels? Probably. Yes, possibly, Jason. And you know what? To be fair, we used to have two big families, maybe three. And then we went and screwed with them. And then we got 32 little cartels. And they're just violent as shit to each other. And there's no order. And so watch Sicario again. I would just rewatched the first movie, and what's his name? The guy who plays Thanos, Josh Brolin's character, tells the young agent, he says, we can't, unless we can stop 25% of Americans from snorting, smoking, or injecting this garbage, we'll never stop it. There'll always be a demand. So all we can hope for is to create order on the other side so the violence doesn't spill over here. And I thought that was kind of profound, because I absolutely could see that happening, where, a government would say, you know what? I'm going to reach out to these two big cartels and say, you guys split the business and we will help you destroy everyone else. And then you get a monopoly, but at least that way there's not a bunch of bloodshed. So interesting takes. Yeah, so steak is tonight. And then I got leftovers and whatnot. I bought beers. I got wine. I'm going to keep away from the bourbon. We had too much fun with bourbon 2 weeks ago, and we just need to not do that again. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this one. I just wanted, hey, Rip, welcome, and thanks for joining. I just want to point out these things. There's a little can con all of us something and spend available like, well, this. These are the cons, these primary events that ultimately lead to something else. Be good. Don't forget, it's on at 7 or 8 Eastern. I'm in the wrong time zone, so he may be in a different zone than me. I don't know who else is going on tonight. So thanks, Mike. I appreciate you coming in, bud. And don't forget, if you haven't seen Hudson and Livingston yesterday, that We All Gonna Die Wednesday, go back and leave a like and a comment. You put poop emojis. I think that would crack Lou up. But anyway, help the channels out. For those of you who have not heard, you'll see more video about it tomorrow. I got put in jail in a different platform because I called someone a rainbow puto in a chat. And apparently he agitated me enough that I took a snapshot of the person's profile and posted it on my TikTok. I was TikTok, and said this person is the rainbow puto, and then I wound up in getting a strike on TikTok. I don't know where that came from, by the way. I just came up with it, like it just popped out of my head, and I called him the rainbow puto, and which is basically rainbow man whore, and in Spanish, which is not nice, but that's what I did. And I was reading it in the morning. I'm like, yeah, that would probably have gotten me a strike. That was kind of not nice, but it was funny. Totally worth it. Anyway, I didn't even know what that is. Yeah, a puto is like a hooker, a man hooker, like a gigolo, but a nasty one. So yeah, rainbow puto is rainbow man whore, and so I got put in jail. The final rainbow boss. Anyway, so yeah, I got put in jail for a bit in TikTok. That's fine. I'll just create new channels and be a shit again on another platform. Anyway, folks, be good, be safe tonight. Y'all get home safely. We do have some weather coming through. I know we got another front coming from Arizona to hit us, but it won't be fully formed, but it will be formed by the time it gets to the East Coast. So you folks in Oklahoma, Tennessee, Virginia, Carolinas, up in the southern southeast coast, keep an eye out. It may break up before it gets to you, but you may want to be ready just in case. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, be good, be safe. God bless. Thank you for joining me tonight, and I will see you next week or next time we have a video. Be good. Take care.